Hindsight is 20/20. Ain't that what everybody says these days? And ain't it the truth? It really is. Well, guys, my name is Agrippa Maxenius, and I'm also, funny enough, one of the characters in this game. In fact, I'm Paulie Goldstein. The pleasure's all mine, of course. And I want to talk a little bit about what I thought was going to be the greatest game ever. And what I still think can be an amazing, amazing game. And that is, of course, Empire of Sin, the game you see here. And essentially, what can be improved, what I think is very, very wrong about the game, etc., etc. So I want to start by saying that what I was hoping Empire of Sin to be was sort of a Gangsters 2 remastered edition. Basically, Gangsters 2 allowed you to do so many different things, from bombing enemy headquarters, to assassinating people in drive-by shootings, to even manipulating city government, another thing this game lacks, which is really tragic. And all of these things, I think, were completely forgotten in Empire of Sin. Right here I'm showing the combat, I think I will, just since we are in the combat phase, I'll go ahead and mention the few issues I see with it, and that is just that a lot of these areas that you see, including the bad guys within them, are very recycled areas, not exactly something that I would call the best location for a shootout, if that makes sense. I just think this could improve. I don't think it's the biggest issue in the game, and in fact, I think with a little bit of variety in the way the enemy AI reacts, as well as maybe a little bit of variety in the actual thugs and or enemy gangsters, that this could greatly improve, but this is an issue. But let's get back to the glaring issues, and that is, of course, when I mentioned that this is very similar, or what I wanted it to be was Gangsters 2. In Gangsters 2, you can manipulate so many different things. In this game, you can manipulate so little. It really is quite tragic. So, for instance, in terms of the actual rackets themselves, you can own, I think, 4 different kinds of rackets. You can own a brothel, which doesn't need alcohol to operate. You can own a casino, which does need alcohol to operate, and a speakeasy, which does need alcohol to operate. You can, of course, go through these different things and actually, like, upgrade them, so sort of increase security, increase, profit, increase quality, things like that. But apart from that, you're not really doing much in terms of purchasing new properties, etc. So I think that does, that's a glaring issue. You gotta have more choices with the properties. There needs to be more things you could do. Right now, the only thing you're really doing is creating alcohol and selling it. There's nothing in between. There's no more dangerous rackets. And I have seen a few games, one I want to mention right now that maybe doesn't get enough praise is the Commission Organized Crime. It doesn't have the graphics that, a lot of these AAA games do. But one thing in the Commission is it allows you to go into, like, really, really dangerous, for instance, operations, but for a nice payout. So, for instance, maybe you start doing drug dealing, and you risk getting taken over by the police, number one. You also risk other gangs taking your product. All sorts of terrible things could happen, including, of course, your mobsters or your gangsters going to prison. And this is something that this game lacks as well, is, prison time, an actual government system, like an actual city government system that you can manipulate. Maybe you can pay off the police chief. Maybe you could pay off the mayor. You just can't do that here in this game, in Empire of Sin. And that, in my opinion, greatly, and I mean greatly, takes away from what could be amazing potential here. The whole idea of Mafia life is the ability to stab people in the back. You want to be able to not just stab other gangs in the back, but potentially even stab your own gang members in the back. And this is something that the game completely overlooks as sort of the internal Mafia politics. You've got this group of guys that you can hire, pretty much just mercenaries, and over the course of the game, they can die, they can not choose to join your group because you are friendly with the family they don't like, or potentially, friendly with just another mobster that they are not happy with, and this just leads to a total lack of variety. I understand that, of course, the game wants to be open to the possibility of, different kinds of characters, and I like that. Like, for instance, this guy, who's actually an ex-Confederate general, of all things. they've got some interesting ideas there, but I want to see more of the standard Irish and Italian-American mobsters, if you know what I mean. And the game does a very good job, by the way, at showing mobsters like Dean O'Banion and Frank Regan. These are real guys, Al Capone, you know, real badass mobsters. And I know there are so many minor mobsters out there that they could have easily integrated into this game, you know, Lefty Two Guns, things like this. Guys that maybe are not considered like best of the best, but could have easily just been put into this game without much of an issue. I do like the notoriety stuff over here, sort of like the history of what you've done, but this also goes to show you just how easy it is to progress through the game. I've been doing, you know, hard mode and not having any difficulty at all taking over rackets, or having my rackets taken over. One thing I think that is, I'm going to give the game like a bit of a bonus here, a bit of a thumbs up, is the actual family system here. Number one, under boss, and you wouldn't call them lieutenants, you'd probably call them capos. You wouldn't call them made men, you'd probably call them soldiers. But I kind of like this system. I think this could greatly be expanded to actually create an entire criminal underworld. And think about it, guys. This is Paradox Games. Surely they could have one system here for an Irish family, one system for an Italian family, one system for a Chinese family, etc. And really, you know, make things interesting in terms of the politics. And that gets me to the diplomacy. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really bad. What can I say? I mean, there's really just nothing here to work with. It doesn't really matter if I'm at war or not at war with a certain faction. They could attack me at any time, try to take over one of my rackets and start a war themselves. The biggest thing for me is, of course, the interaction with the police and the city itself. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but come on, there needs to be more here. There needs to be, you know, maybe the police get to a point where they're constantly raiding you because you've killed one of their officers or something. There's just so much here, and I highly recommend anybody watching this to take a look at the different things you could have done in Gangsters 2 and to apply that to this game. So for instance, the ability to bomb this location, or the ability to maybe just do a drive-by and take out a boss that's walking down the street. That's the other thing about this game, right? You've got a bunch of characters presumably working for all of these different families in all of these different neighborhoods, but you don't actually ever see the bosses walking down the street with an armed guard or something like that. You just see regular mobsters walking down the street. You can attack them, of course, do your thing, but I think that would be such an excellent thing to, you know, have a boss walk down the street, be able to set up maybe an ambush, put some of your guys here, put some of your guys here, and of course catch them off guard, but that just doesn't occur in this game. I will also say, just going back to the repetition thing, I think combat, you know, repetition is a major issue in combat in this game, but also just the repetition of the neighborhoods. Like, I want to see differences in these neighborhoods, you know, like significant differences in architecture, perhaps in the class of people that go here. And this goes back to the rackets. We can't just have 3 different rackets. It's just not good. So again, going on that 3 racket thing, basically just, why do you keep busting my balls with the damn messages? All right. So back to the 3 racket thing, you know, it's just not enough. Again, you know, I can go from basically, like I said earlier, speakeasy, distillery to produce the alcohol, and the alcohol being produced is right here. It lets you know, like, the quality of your alcohol as well as how much you're getting, and you can, of course, increase quality by, for instance, going to one of your breweries. Sorry, I called it a distillery. Going to one of your breweries, and over here, as you can see, upgrading certain things. So, like security, or quality, of course, or even storage ability to make more, but that's it. You know, it doesn't go beyond that, and it doesn't really allow for much in terms of economic play. I don't see any benefit from a speakeasy to a casino, except that a casino makes more money, so I'm going to get a casino if I have the money to get a casino, pretty much. There's just a lot that still needs to be done here, I think, for this to be what I would call a finished game. And again, guys, look, I mean, this is the voice of Paulie Goldstein talking. I really want to give this a 10 out of 10. And I'm still loving it. You know, I still play this game quite a bit. And I hate to make this comparison, it's painful, but I have a lot of friends who play Fallout 76 who said the same thing. I do love this game, and I think that this game does have a tremendous amount of heart associated with it. I really don't think they just made this, the creators behind it, specifically Paradox, just made this to make it. I really think they had something big in mind, and for sure they were looking at the old Gangsters too, but they have to follow through. So, you know, just again, I'm very new at this, and please, guys, leave your comments down below as to if you agree with me or disagree, and what you would add, what you would take away. But for me, I would say like the most glaring issues, aside from the bugs that have been mentioned during combat by other players, I haven't experienced those as much, but I have experienced them. It would just be expanding the economic system, number one. Two, potentially allowing for some actual like intrigue. So, for instance, the ability. I know you can kind of join other families, but it's not well done right now. The ability to do like drive-by shootings, the ability to have somebody turn on you in your own family and start, attacking your players. Just the ability to like see the enemy mob moving around, even if it's just their henchmen moving around. An improvement to the political system of the game. I mean, come on, guys. This is Paradox Interactive. They've made some of the best political simulators in history. Are you telling me they cannot improve on a Mafia political simulator here? I mean, come on. So that's one thing, and that means adding the commission. That means adding a government system within the city, so a mayor, a police chief, etc. I just think that this stuff is sort of, like, obvious. And that, to me, is what really needs to be changed. Obviously, the variety here needs to be changed. We look at this huge black book, and I do like the ability to have all these different characters, but there's not much in the way of customization, and especially in a Mafia game, what if I want all my guys to just wear, black trench coats and black hats? That's my business. It's not your business. Maybe I want to do that, and that should be allowed as well. So again, guys, just my 2 cents here on a game I was actually a part of, and I do want to thank Paradox and Romero Interactive for allowing me to be a voice in this game. It was a real pleasure, and I do voice work professionally on the side, but I would have done this for free. I really would have. I mean, I wanted to be part of a mob game, and I get to be a charismatic Jewish mobster, a.k.a. Paulie Goldstein here. No man is an island, but Paulie certainly is, and what can I say, man? It's been a blast. I want this to be a good game. I've seen Paradox turn games around before. I saw them take Stellaris and essentially totally change the game into something much better, even though it was pretty good to begin with. I really hope they can do the same thing here with Empire of Sin. That's my 2 cents, guys. If you enjoyed what I said, you know what you gotta do. Hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Maybe you subscribe. What's it gonna hurt you? You're gonna have a problem. Maybe you don't subscribe and your nice windows get broken tomorrow. I don't know. Things happen. Alright, I'll catch you on the next one, boys. And hopefully in the future when I'm doing Empire Sin videos, I'm actually doing some proper videos and not just some silly review.